Even the apex beasts knew. You don't challenge a human veteran, a force like no other. Part 1. The repair shop smelled of oil and metal. Tiwan wiped his hands on a dirty cloth and looked at the broken engine in front of him. He had been working on it for 3 hours. His back hurt and his eyes were tired. This was his life now. Fixing things. Staying quiet. Trying to forget. Outside the shop, the colony of Calro 7 was busy with afternoon activity. Different alien species walked through the streets. Some were tall, some were short. Some had scales, some had fur. Humans were the minority here, but they got along with most species. Most of the time, Day-One was 57 years old. His hair was gray at the temples. His hands were rough from work. He looked like any other tired mechanic trying to make a living on a frontier world. Nobody asked questions about his past. That was how he liked it. The shop door burst open. A young woman stumbled inside. Her name was Ji-Woo. She was maybe 20 years old. Blood ran down her arm. Her face was pale with fear. "Please," she said. "Please help me." "They're coming." Day-One moved quickly. He pulled her inside and locked the door. "Who is coming?" "The Vrex, the Syndicate." Her voice shook. "I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. They said they would make an example of me." Day-One felt something cold settle in his stomach. The Vrex Syndicate controlled most of the crime on this side of the sector. They were dangerous. More than that, they were apex predators. 8 feet tall with armored skin and claws that could tear through steel. They thought humans were weak. "Easy prey. How many?" Day-One asked. 3. Maybe more." Ji-Woo pressed her hand against her wound. "I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go." Day-One looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Go to the back room. Stay there. Don't come out no matter what you hear." "What are you going to do?" "What I have to." Ji-Woo disappeared into the back. Day-One took a deep breath. He hadn't wanted this. He had left that life behind. But some things you can never really leave behind. They stay in your bones, in your muscle memory, in the way you see the world. The door exploded inward. 3 Vrex enforcers stepped inside. They were massive. Their reptilian heads nearly touched the ceiling. Their scales were dark green and black. Their eyes were yellow and cold. The leader looked around the shop. His name was Thrax. He was known for his cruelty. "We are looking for a human female. Young, bleeding. She came in here." Day-One stood still. His voice was calm. "Nobody here but me," Thrax laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Old human. Do not lie to me. We can smell her blood. She's not here." The other 2 Vrex moved to flank him. They thought this would be easy. Humans were soft. Humans were weak. Humans broke easily. Thrax stepped closer. "I will ask one more time. Where is the female?" "I told you. She's not here." "Then you are protecting her." Thrax showed his teeth. They were each as long as a finger. Sharp enough to bite through bone. "That is very stupid. We are apex predators, human. We have hunted and killed for thousands of years. What are you?" "A weak old man who fixes broken machines." Day-One looked at each of them. His eyes were different now, colder, calculating. "I'm going to give you one warning. Leave now. Don't come back. Forget about the girl." All 3 Vrex laughed. "Or what, old man? You will fight us?" "Yes." Thrax moved faster than something that size should be able to move. His clawed hand swept toward Day-One's head. It should have been the end of the fight before it started. But Day-One wasn't there anymore. He had dropped low and moved inside Thrax's reach. His elbow struck a spot just under the Vrex's armored chest plate, the exact spot where the nerve cluster sat. Thrax made a sound like air leaving a punctured tire. His legs went weak. The second Vrex lunged. Day-One grabbed a heavy wrench from his workbench. He didn't swing it like a weapon. He threw it. The wrench spun through the air and struck the Vrex in the eye. The creature screamed and staggered back. The third Vrex was smarter. He circled, looking for an opening. Day-One turned to face him. The old mechanic was breathing normally. Not tired, not afraid. Just waiting. "You are not a simple mechanic," the third Vrex said. "No, I'm not." The Vrex attacked with both claws extended. It was a killing move. Day-One sidestepped and caught one of the creature's wrists. He twisted and pulled at the same time. There was a wet popping sound. The Vrex's shoulder dislocated. Day-One kicked the back of its knee. The creature went down. 15 seconds. That's how long the fight had lasted. Thrax was trying to stand. His breathing was labored. He looked at Daewon with new understanding. And fear. What are you? Someone you should have left alone. Daewon picked up a scanning device that had fallen from Thrax's belt. Take your friends, leave. Tell your bosses that this colony is off limits. The three Vrex helped each other toward the door. Thrax paused at the threshold. You have made a mistake, human. The Syndicate does not forgive. They will come for you. Let them. After they left, Daewon locked the door again. His hands were shaking now. Not from fear. From memory. From the feeling of falling back into old patterns. Old training. Old instincts he had tried to bury. Jiwoo emerged from the back room. Her eyes were wide. What did you... It doesn't matter. Daewon sat down heavily. He suddenly felt very old. You need to leave the colony tonight, go somewhere safe. What about you? I'll be fine, but he wouldn't be fine. He knew that. Because across the colony, in a dirty bar where criminals gathered, Thrax was uploading his scanner data. The device had automatically recorded biosignatures during the fight. It had scanned Daewon without him realizing. The data transmitted to the Vrex Syndicate's central database. An automated system compared the biosignature against known profiles. Military records, criminal records, historical databases. Then the alarm started going off. In an office on a distant station, a Vrex crime lord named Kravor looked at his screen. His eyes widened. Then he began to laugh. A deep, dangerous laugh. Captain Daewon of the 5th Human Expeditionary Force, he read aloud. Hero of the Orion Border Wars, presumed dead or retired. Current location, Calros 7. Kravor stood and walked to his window. Outside, ships moved through the darkness of space. He had built an empire through fear and violence. No one challenged the Vrex Syndicate. No one, and now this, an insult. His enforcers beaten by a single old human. It could not stand. The entire galaxy would hear about this. They would laugh. His reputation would be destroyed unless he made an example. But there was something else, too. Something that made Kravor's smile fade slightly. He had been young during the Orion Border Wars. He had heard the stories. Entire Vrex battalions that went into human territories and never came back. Warships that vanished. Bases that were found empty. Their crews gone. The humans had been new to the galaxy then. Weak. Soft. Without natural weapons or armor. But they had fought like nothing the universe had ever seen. They didn't fight fair. They didn't follow the rules. They used tricks and traps and tactics that no honorable predator species would consider. And they never gave up. Never surrendered. Never stopped. Kravor shook his head. Those were just stories. Legends blown out of proportion. The war was over. Humanity had won through luck and numbers. Nothing more. He activated his communication system. Put out a bounty on Calros 7, Captain Daewon. I want him alive. 1 million credits. Within minutes, the message spread through the criminal underworld. Bounty hunters across 3 sectors began plotting courses to Calros 7. Some were experienced. Some were desperate. All of them thought the same thing. One old human. Easy money. None of them knew what they were walking into. Back in his shop, Daewon sat in the dark. He knew what was coming. He had known from the moment he threw that first strike. There was no going back now. The quiet life was over. He stood and walked to a locked cabinet in the corner. Inside were things he hadn't touched in 20 years. Military gear, weapons, equipment that civilians shouldn't have. He had told himself he would never need these things again. He had been wrong. Daewon looked at his reflection in a piece of polished metal. For just a moment, he didn't see the tired mechanic. He saw the soldier, the warrior, the man who had survived battles that should have killed him a dozen times over. All right, he said quietly to his reflection. One more time. Outside, the colony continued its normal evening routine. People laughed and talked. Children played. Nobody knew that their peaceful little world was about to become a battlefield. Nobody knew that they had a guardian who had forgotten more about war than most soldiers would ever learn. And nobody knew that the galaxy was about to be reminded of a simple truth. You don't challenge a human veteran, not if you want to survive. News traveled fast in the criminal world. By morning, every bounty hunter within 3 sectors knew about the prize on Calros 7. 1 million credits for a single old human. The job seemed too easy. Daewon stood on the roof of his shop and watched the ships arrive. 3 had landed already. More were coming. He could see them entering the atmosphere, their engines leaving white trails across the morning sky. Jiwoo had refused to leave. She stood beside him now, holding an old rifle that she barely knew how to use. How many do you think will come? As many as it takes. Daewon adjusted the collar of his jacket. Underneath, he wore body armor he hadn't touched in decades. It still fit. Stay inside. Lock the doors. Whatever happens, don't come out. I can help. I can fight. He looked at her. You're brave, but bravery isn't enough. Not for this, he paused. If I don't come back, there's money hidden under the 3rd floorboard in the back room. Take it. Run far away from here. You talk like you're going to die. Maybe. Maybe not. He started toward the ladder. But if they want me, I'm not going to let them tear apart this colony looking. Daewon walked through the early morning streets. A few colonists were starting their day. They nodded to him. He was just the mechanic, the quiet man who fixed things. They didn't know what was coming. He reached the edge of the colony where the wilderness began. Rocky terrain stretched for miles. Hills and valleys, caves and canyons. He knew this land. He had spent the last few years walking it, mapping it in his mind. Old habits from old wars. The first bounty hunter found him an hour later, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. Each arm held a weapon. Are you Daewon? Yes, I am here for the bounty. Surrender and I will not hurt you. No. The bounty hunter fired all 4 weapons at once. But Daewon was already moving. He had seen the way the alien's muscles tensed, had predicted the shot. He rolled behind a rock as energy blast carved chunks from the stone. The alien advanced, confident, professional. He had hunted dangerous prey before. He came around the rock, weapons ready. Daewon threw sand in his eyes. The alien stumbled back, blinking. That's when Daewon struck, not with a weapon. With a piece of broken rock he had picked up. He hit specific points on each of the alien's arms, nerve clusters. The weapons fell from numb fingers. You fight without honor. The alien gasped. I fight to win. Daewon took the weapons and pointed them at the hunter. Leave. Tell the others what happened here. The alien fled. 2 more hunters came before noon. Daewon dealt with them the same way. Not with superior strength. Not with better weapons. With tactics. With knowledge of terrain. With the kind of fighting that doesn't look impressive but works. By afternoon, word was spreading among the bounty hunters. This wasn't an easy job. Something was wrong. The old human was dangerous. One of the hunters was different from the others. Her name was Hyan. She was human, 25 years old. She had been hunting bounties for 3 years. She had heard the stories about the war veterans, the legendary soldiers who had fought in humanity's first major conflict with alien species. She dreamed of meeting one someday. She didn't realize she was hunting one now. Hyan tracked Daewon through the wilderness. She was good at her job, silent, patient. She followed signs that other hunters missed. A disturbed rock here, a broken plant there. She was getting close. In a canyon, she found something strange. Military-grade traps. Not improvised. Professional. The kind of thing only trained soldiers could make. She photographed one of them and sent the image to her ship's computer. Analyze this. The computer processed for a moment. Trap design matches human military doctrine from the Orion border wars, specifically patterns used by special operations units. Hyan's heart began to beat faster. She pulled up everything she could find about the war. 20 years ago, humanity's first major conflict. 3 alien empires had thought humans would be easy to conquer, soft species, weak bodies. No natural weapons. They had been wrong. Humans didn't fight like other species. They didn't rely on strength or natural abilities. They used everything: the environment, technology, psychological warfare. They booby-trapped entire planets. They attacked supply lines. They hit enemies where they were weakest and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. The war had lasted 5 years. The alien empires had lost badly. Hyan searched for records of Captain Daewon. What she found made her blood run cold. 63 confirmed missions behind enemy lines. Over 200 enemy combatants eliminated. Survived situations that killed his entire squad. Held positions that should have been impossible to defend. Expert in asymmetric warfare. She was hunting a legend. Another hunter found Day-Wan that evening. This one was Vrex, older, scarred. His name was Velkor. Unlike the others, he approached slowly, carefully. His weapon was lowered. "Captain Day-Wan," Velkor said, "I am not here for the bounty." Day-Wan stood on a ridge silhouetted against the setting sun. "Then why are you here?" "To warn you. I fought in the Orion Wars. I was there when my people tried to take the human colony on Arcturus III. Do you remember that battle?" "I remember. We sent 5,000 warriors. Less than 300 returned. The humans there fought for 6 months with no reinforcements. They should have died in the first week." Velkor's voice was quiet. "I was one of the survivors. I saw what your people are capable of. That was a long time ago. Some things do not change. Kravor is coming. He is young. He did not fight in the war. He does not understand what he is challenging." Velkor paused. "You should leave this place, disappear. Kravor has called for more hunters, dozens, maybe hundreds. You cannot fight them all. I won't run. Why? This is not your war anymore." Day-Wan looked back at the colony. Lights were coming on as evening fell. Families were sitting down to dinner. Children were playing. "It became my war when they threatened innocent people." Velkor nodded slowly. "Then you will die here." "Maybe, but I'll take a lot of them with me." The old Vrex warrior studied him for a long moment. "I believe you would. That is why I will not fight you. I have already survived one war against humanity. I do not need another." He turned to leave, then stopped. "There is a story from the war. Maybe you know it. Maybe you don't. After the Battle of Arcturus III, the Vrex High Command sent an investigator to find out what went wrong. Do you know what he reported?" "No. He said that fighting humans was like fighting the planet itself. Every rock could be a weapon. Every shadow could hide death. Every victory could be a trap leading to greater loss. He said humans didn't fight to win battles. They fought to break their enemy's will to continue fighting." Velkor started walking away. "I think that investigator was right." Day-Wan watched him go. Then he returned to setting traps. That night, Hyon found him. She approached with her weapon holstered and her hands visible. "Captain Day-Wan, my name is Hyon. I'm a bounty hunter. But I'm not here to collect." "Then why are you here?" "Because I know who you are now." "What you are?" She sat down on a rock, careful to stay in plain view. "My grandfather fought in the Orion Wars. He was in the 5th Expeditionary Force. He died before I was born, but my grandmother told me stories. She said he served under the best officer he ever met, a man who brought his soldiers home alive more often than anyone thought possible. A man named Day-Wan." "Your grandfather's name?" "Siu Sang-Woo. He was a sergeant." Day-Wan's expression softened slightly. "I remember Sang-Woo. Good soldier. Better man. I'm sorry he's gone. He lived to be 70. Died peacefully surrounded by family. Because of you." Hyon leaned forward. "More hunters are coming. The easy ones have already tried and failed. The next wave will be professionals. Coordinated teams. They'll come at night with heavy weapons." "I know. You can't fight them all." "Probably not." "Then let me help." Day-Wan studied her for a long time. "Why would you do that? You're a bounty hunter." "Because some things matter more than money. My grandfather told my grandmother that you taught him something important. That being a soldier wasn't about following orders or winning battles. It was about protecting people who couldn't protect themselves." Hyon stood up. "That's why I became a hunter. Not for the money. To stop bad people from hurting good people. Kravor is bad people. You're protecting this colony. That makes us allies. This isn't going to end well. Maybe not. But I'd rather fight alongside a legend than spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I'd been brave enough to help." Day-Wan looked at her for another moment. Then he nodded. "All right. Welcome to the fight. First thing you need to know, we don't fight fair. I wouldn't expect anything else." That night, the professional hunters arrived. 6 of them. Heavily armed, coordinated. They moved through the darkness like ghosts. They were good. But Day-Wan and Hyon were better. The hunters walked into a killing field. Traps triggered in sequence, explosions, rock slides, carefully positioned sniper fire. By dawn, all 6 were injured or captured. Standing over the wounded hunters, Day-Wan sent a message to Kravor. "Tell your boss that every hunter he sends will end up like this. Tell him to forget about the bounty. Tell him to stay away from this colony." The message was received. Cravor read it. Then he smiled. Captain Day One thinks he has won, Cravor said to his advisors. He thinks he can scare me away. He is wrong. I am coming personally, with my best warriors. We will show the galaxy what happens when prey forgets its place. His flagship began preparations to depart. Back on Calros 7, Day One and Hyun returned to the colony. They were exhausted, dirty, but alive. Jiwoo met them at the shop. Is it over? No, Day One said. It's just beginning. Cravor's flagship arrived 3 days later. It was massive. A warship designed to intimidate. It settled into orbit above Calros 7 like a bird of prey circling its victim. 50 elite Vrex warriors were on board, the best fighters in the syndicate. And Cravor himself, the colony administrator, received the message first. Her hands shook as she read it. She ran to find Day One. He was in the town square with Hyun and a small group of colonists. He's here, the administrator said. Cravor, he's demanding you surrender. If you don't, he'll destroy the colony. We have 72 hours. The colonists began to panic. Families grabbed their children. Some ran to pack their belongings. Others argued about whether they should surrender Day One to save themselves. Day One stood in the center of the chaos and spoke calmly. Everyone stopped. The noise quieted. People turned to look at him. I know you're scared. You have a right to be. Cravor is dangerous. His warriors are trained killers, but I'm not going to let him destroy your homes, and I'm not going to surrender. He looked around at the faces, young and old, human and alien, all of them terrified. We have 3 days. In that time, I'm going to teach you how to defend yourselves, how to turn this colony into a fortress, how to fight like humans. We're not soldiers, someone called out. No, but you're survivors. You came to this frontier world to build something, to make a better life. That takes courage. That takes strength. We're going to use that. He pointed to different buildings. Every street will be a trap. Every building will be a defensive position. We'll show Cravor and his warriors that taking this colony will cost more than it's worth. An elderly alien spoke up. Why should we fight? You're the one he wants. Why should we risk our lives for you? Day One nodded. Fair question. You shouldn't. If you want to leave, leave. I won't stop you. I won't judge you. But understand this. If Cravor destroys this colony because of me, he'll do it again to other colonies for other reasons. Bullies don't stop when you give them what they want. They just come back for more. The colonists looked at each other. Slowly, people began to nod. One by one, they agreed to fight. Velcor appeared at the edge of the square. The old Vrex warrior had stayed on the planet watching. Now he stepped forward. I will help. Everyone turned to stare. Velcor was Vrex. Why would he help humans fight his own people? Cravor is not my people, Velcor said. He is a criminal. A murderer. He gives all Vrex a bad name. And more than that, I have fought humans before. I know what they can do when they work together. I know their tactics. I can teach you how to fight Vrex warriors. Day One extended his hand. Velcor took it. An old enemy becoming an ally. The next 72 hours were brutal. Day One organized the colonists into teams. He taught them how to set traps, how to create ambush points, how to use their knowledge of the colony's layout against invaders. He showed them pressure points on Vrex bodies, weak spots in their armor, ways to fight enemies that were bigger and stronger. Hyun helped train people with weapons. Most of the colonists had never fired a gun. She taught them the basics: how to aim, how to breathe, how to stay calm under pressure. Velcor taught them about Vrex tactics, how they hunted, how they thought. He showed them that Vrex warriors were overconfident. They believed they were superior. That belief was a weakness that could be exploited. Jiwoo surprised everyone. The scared young woman who had stumbled into the repair shop was gone. In her place was someone harder, focused. She learned fast. Day One gave her command of a team defending the eastern sector. You sure about this? Hyun asked him privately. She's never led anyone before. Neither had I when I was her age. War doesn't wait for you to be ready. It forces you to become ready or die. On the third day, Cravor sent a final message. Your time is up. Surrender. The human called Day One. Last chance. The colony administrator looked at Day One. He shook his head. She sent back the reply. No. Cravor's response was immediate. A beam of energy struck an empty building on the edge of the colony. The structure exploded into flames. The message was clear. This is what happens if you defy me. Now we fight, Day One said. Dropships descended from the flagship, 50 Vrex warriors in full combat armor. They landed in the colony's main plaza with weapons ready. Kravor emerged last. He was bigger than the others. His armor was ornate. His claws were sharpened to razor points. "Where is Day One?" Kravor's voice boomed across the empty square. "Come out and face me." The square remained silent. The warriors spread out, checking buildings. They found nothing. No colonists. No defenders. "Just empty structures. They're hiding," one warrior said. "Like cowards. Then we burn them out." Kravor pointed to a building. "Start with that one." 3 warriors approached the building. They kicked in the door. There was a click, then an explosion. The building collapsed on top of them. The warriors stumbled out, injured and confused. "Traps!" Kravor snarled. "They want to play games. Fine, spread out. Search every building. Kill anyone you find." The warriors broke into smaller teams. That was their first mistake. In the eastern sector, Jiwoo's team waited. 5 colonists with improvised weapons. They watched as 3 Vrex warriors entered their street. The warriors were confident, laughing, talking about how easy this would be. The first warrior stepped on a pressure plate. A cargo net dropped from above. He was tangled and fell. Before he could get up, the colonists attacked from both sides. They didn't try to fight him directly. They used shock prods, chemical sprays, things that hurt rather than killed. The warrior roared and struggled, but he was down. The other 2 warriors charged to help their friend. That's when the real trap triggered. The street they were standing on was undermined, carefully weakened. It collapsed into the tunnel system below. The warriors fell 15 feet and landed hard. Jiwoo's team threw down ropes, not to help the Vrex, to trap them further. By the time the warriors climbed out, reinforcements had arrived. More colonists, more traps. The Vrex retreated. Similar scenes played out across the colony. The Vrex warriors were stronger and better armed, but the colonists knew the terrain. They had prepared, and they fought like Day One taught them, smart, dirty, using every advantage. Kravor watched his warriors being forced back. He couldn't believe it. These were elite soldiers, and they were losing ground to civilians. "Enough," he roared. "Day One, I know you're out there. Face me, or I will kill every person in this colony one by one." Day One's voice came from a speaker system. "You want me? Come find me." Kravor's eyes narrowed. He had been challenged. In his culture, this was an insult that couldn't be ignored. "All warriors, pull back. Form a perimeter. If anyone tries to escape, kill them. Day One wants single combat." "Fine, I will tear him apart with my bare claws." The warriors withdrew to the edges of the colony. Kravor walked alone into the central square. The sun was setting. Long shadows stretched across the ground. Day One emerged from a building. He had no armor, no heavy weapons, just a simple combat knife and his own skills. The 2 faced each other across the empty square. "You should have run," Kravor said. "You should have hidden. Instead, you chose to die." "Maybe. But if I'm going to die, I'm taking you with me." Kravor laughed. "Brave words from prey. I am Apex, I am the hunter. You are nothing but meat. We'll see." Hyun watched from a hidden position with her rifle ready. "I can take the shot," she whispered into her communicator. "No," Day One's voice came back. "This has to be face to face. It's the only way to end this without them destroying the colony. You can't beat him in a straight fight. He's too big, too strong. Then it's a good thing I never fight straight." Kravor attacked first. He was fast for his size. His claws slashed through the air where Day One had been standing. But Day One was already moving. Not retreating. Moving at an angle. Getting inside Kravor's reach. The fight was brutal. Kravor had all the advantages: size, strength, natural weapons. His armored hide could stop most attacks. But Day One had something else. Experience. Knowledge. And the absolute refusal to give up. He didn't try to overpower Kravor. He couldn't. Instead, he targeted specific points. The joints in the armor. The nerve clusters under the scales. The eyes, the throat. Every strike was precise, calculated. Kravor roared in frustration. He had fought hundreds of opponents. None had fought like this. This human was like fighting smoke. Always moving. Always attacking from unexpected angles. "Stand still and fight," Kravor demanded. "No." Day One ducked under another slash. His knife found a gap in the armor at Kravor's hip. Not a killing blow. Just enough to hurt, to slow. to remind the Vrex warlord that he could be hurt. The colonists watched from hiding. They had never seen anything like this, an old human fighting an apex predator, and somehow impossibly holding his own. Velcor watched too. He had fought humans before. He had seen what they could do. But even he was impressed. This was what made humanity dangerous. Not strength, not weapons, but the refusal to accept defeat, the willingness to keep fighting no matter what. The fight continued as the sun set and darkness fell. Both fighters were bleeding. Both were exhausted, but neither would yield. Finally, Cravor made a mistake. He overextended on an attack. His balance shifted wrong. It was only for a moment, but a moment was all Daewon needed. He moved in fast. His knife went to Cravor's throat. Not cutting, just pressing against the scales, right where the major artery was. "It's over," Daewon said. Cravor froze. He could feel the blade. One push and he would die. "Kill me then." "No." "What?" "I said no. I'm not going to kill you." Daewon stepped back. His knife lowered. "Go home, take your warriors. Leave this colony alone." Cravor stared at him. "You had me. You could have ended this." "Yes, but killing you won't fix anything. It'll just make your syndicate send more warriors for revenge. This needs to end here." Daewon looked at the Vrex warriors watching from the edges of the square. "All of you need to understand something. Humans aren't prey. We never were. We're survivors, and we're done being victims." Cravor stood in the center of the square with blood dripping from his wounds. The other Vrex warriors watched in silence. Their leader had been defeated by a human. An old human. A single old human with nothing but a knife and skill. The shame burned worse than his injuries. "You should have killed me," Cravor said quietly. "Mercy is weakness." "No," Daewon replied. "Mercy is strength. It takes more courage to spare an enemy than to kill one. Go home. Learn from this." Cravor's claws clenched. Every instinct told him to attack again, to keep fighting until he won or died. But he looked at Daewon's eyes. They were tired but calm, ready. This human would fight as long as necessary. And somehow, impossibly, he would win. "We are leaving," Cravor announced to his warriors. "Return to the ships." The Vrex began to withdraw, slowly, reluctantly. They kept their weapons ready, expecting a trap. But the colonists let them go. They watched from windows and rooftops as the apex predators walked away like beaten dogs. Hyun emerged from her hiding spot. "I can't believe you let him live." It was the right choice. Was it? What if he comes back? He won't, but Daewon was wrong. Cravor returned to his flagship with his warriors. The injuries would heal. The shame would not. As soon as they reached orbit, he sealed himself in his quarters and contacted the Syndicate's high command. The mission failed. The voice on the other end was cold. The human was more dangerous than expected. He had help. The colony was fortified. Cravor chose his words carefully. "I recommend we withdraw. This target isn't worth the resources. That's not your decision to make. I am telling you as someone who fought him directly. This human is not normal. He's one old man, and you let him beat you. Do you understand what this means for our reputation?" Word is spreading. They're saying the Vrex Syndicate was humiliated by a retired soldier. The voice paused. "No, this doesn't end here. If we walk away now, we look weak. Every 2-credit criminal in the galaxy will think they can challenge us. Then what do you want me to do?" "Nothing. You've done enough. We're sending specialists. They'll handle this permanently." The communication ended. Cravor sat in the dark. He felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear, not for himself. For what was coming. The Syndicate specialists weren't warriors. They were exterminators. They didn't fight. They destroyed. On Calros 7, the colonists celebrated. They had won. They had fought apex predators and survived. People hugged each other. Children laughed. Someone brought out music. Daewon sat alone on the roof of his shop. Hyun found him there. "Everyone's celebrating down there. You should join them." "You're the hero." "I'm not a hero. I just did what had to be done." "That's exactly what a hero is." She sat beside him. "You saved these people." "Maybe. Or maybe I just delayed the inevitable." He looked at the stars. Cravor was humiliated. The Syndicate won't let that stand. They'll come back. Then we'll fight again. With what? These people aren't soldiers. They got lucky today. Next time they might not. He was quiet for a moment. I should leave. Go far away. Maybe the syndicate will forget about the colony if I'm not here. You don't believe that? No, I don't. 2 days later, Velcor came to find Day One. The old Vrex warrior looked worried. I need to speak with you. Privately. They walked to the edge of the colony where no one could hear. Velcor checked to make sure they weren't followed. Then he spoke quickly. I have contacts in the syndicate. Old warriors like me who survived the Orion Wars. One of them sent me a message. A warning. Velcor's voice was urgent. 3 ships are coming. Not warriors. Bombardment ships. They're going to destroy the colony from orbit. No landing. No fighting. Just death from the sky. Day One felt cold. When? 48 hours. Maybe less. Can we evacuate in time? Where would you go? They'll track any ship that leaves. This is a statement. The syndicate wants everyone to know what happens when you defy them. Day One sat on a rock. He felt older than he had in years. All those people, families, children, they had trusted him. They had fought for him. And now they would die because of him. There has to be a way. Against bombardment ships? From orbit? With no fleet to defend you? Velcor shook his head. I'm sorry, my friend. There is no way. Not unless you can call down a miracle. Day One was quiet for a long time. Then he stood. Maybe I can. He returned to his shop and unlocked an old storage container he kept hidden in the back. Inside was communication equipment. Military grade. 20 years old but still functional. He powered it up and tuned to a specific frequency. One that hadn't been used since the war ended. His hand hesitated over the transmit button. If he did this, his quiet life was truly over. There would be no going back. No more hiding. But looking around at the colony, at the people who had fought for their homes, he knew there was no choice. He pressed the button and spoke. This is Captain Day One, 5th Human Expeditionary Force, service number 77419er Delta. Calling any veterans on this frequency. I need help. Calro 7 colony. Frex Syndicate bombardment fleet incoming. 48 hours. Civilian population of 300. No defenses, no fleet. If anyone can hear this, I'm calling in every favor I ever earned. Every debt owed. Every promise made, please. He released the button. Silence. The frequency was probably dead. 20 years was a long time. Those old soldiers were scattered across the galaxy. Most had probably moved on with their lives just like he tried to. Hyun entered the shop. What are you doing? Praying. 20 light years away, a former sergeant named Taimian was unloading cargo on a space station. His communication unit chirped with an unusual signal. He frowned and checked it. His eyes widened. No way, he whispered. Then louder. No way. He ran to his ship and activated every veteran contact he had. Within minutes, dozens of old soldiers were receiving the same message. People who hadn't spoken to each other in years. People who had tried to leave the war behind. But some things you can't leave behind. Some bonds don't break. 40 light years away, a former pilot named Minho was drinking in a bar when his old communicator went off. He had kept it all these years, but never thought he'd use it again. He listened to Daewon's message 3 times. Then he paid his tab and walked to his ship. Across the sector, the same scene played out. Veterans heard the call. They didn't ask questions. They didn't hesitate. They just moved. 24 hours after Daewon sent his message, the first ship arrived at Calro 7. A battered old transport retrofitted with weapons. Tayman's voice came over the comm. Calro 7, this is Sergeant Tayman. I heard the call. Where do you need me? Daewon stood at the communication panel with tears in his eyes. Tayman? I can't believe you came. Of course I came. You saved my life on Arcturus 3. I told you then that I'd follow you anywhere. A pause. More are coming. I sent out the message on all the veteran networks. Don't know how many will show up, but we won't let you face this alone. Over the next 12 hours, more ships arrived. Some were military vessels that had somehow been kept after the war. Some were civilian ships with improvised weapons. Some were barely functional, held together with duct tape and hope. By the time the Syndicate bombardment fleet arrived, there were 47 ships in orbit around Calros 7. Not a military fleet. Not coordinated. Just a collection of veterans who refused to let one of their own die alone. In the flagship of the arriving fleet, a veteran named Bo Young sat in the captain's chair. She was 60 years old now. Gray hair, wrinkled face. But her eyes were sharp as ever. She had been Daewon's commanding officer during the war. When she heard his call, she hadn't hesitated. She had called in every favor she had to get a ship and crew. All ships, this is Bo Young. The Syndicate fleet will be here in 6 hours. We're outnumbered. We're outgunned. Our ships are old and most of us haven't flown combat in 2 decades. She smiled. But we're human. We don't know how to quit. We'll show these Syndicate fools what happens when they threaten one of ours. On the surface, Daewon looked up at the sky. He couldn't see the ships, but he knew they were there. Fighting for him. For the colony. For each other. Hyun stood beside him. Why did they come? They don't even know these people. They came because I asked. Because we're veterans. Because we don't leave each other behind. He put his hand on her shoulder. You asked me once why I fought. Why I didn't just run. This is why. Because when you're part of something bigger than yourself, you have responsibilities you can't walk away from. What happens now? Now we wait. And hope that 47 ships crewed by old soldiers are enough to stop 3 Syndicate bombardment vessels. And if they're not? Daewon looked at the colony, at the people going about their lives not knowing what was coming. Then we make sure they know we tried. That someone stood up for them. That they mattered. In orbit, Bo Young checked her sensors. Syndicate fleet dropping out of FTL in 3 minutes. All ships prepare for combat. Remember your training. Remember why we're here, and most importantly, remember that we're human. That makes us the most dangerous thing in this entire sector. The veteran fleet spread out in a defensive formation. They weren't pretty. They weren't organized. But they were ready. And when the Syndicate ships appeared expecting an easy target, they found something else and tired of fight. They found veterans who had survived. The 3 Syndicate bombardment ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Calros 7 system. They were massive. Each one carried enough firepower to turn a planet's surface into glass. The crews expected no resistance. Intelligence had reported a small colony with no defenses. The fleet commander was named Vorath. He was professional and efficient. This was just another job. He activated his sensors to scan the planet before beginning bombardment. Standard procedure. Then he saw the other ships. What is that? He demanded. Are those military vessels? His tactical officer studied the readings. Some are. Old models. 20 years out of date. The rest are civilian transports, modified with weapons. Sir, there are 47 ships in orbit. Vorath laughed. 47 old ships against 3 bombardment cruisers? They must be insane. Open a communication channel. Bo Young's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm. Almost bored. This is Captain Bo Young of the Human Defensive Fleet. You are approaching a protected colony. Turn around and leave. Protected? Vorath was amused. By what? Those ancient transports? I have 3 of the most powerful ships in the Syndicate fleet. You have scrap metal held together by hope. True, our ships are old. Some of them were decommissioned 20 years ago. We had to pull them out of junkyards. Bo Young smiled. But they still fly. And we still remember how to fight. Last warning. Leave now, or what? You'll attack us? We have shield systems that could withstand a fleet assault. What can you possibly do to us? Bo Young's smile widened. Everything we learned in the Orion border wars. You're about to get a history lesson. Try not to die too quickly. She cut the transmission. Vorath turned to his weapons officer. Target those human ships. Teach them what happens when prey pretends to be predators. But before he could fire, the human fleet moved. Not in the organized formations of a military fleet. They scattered like insects, each ship going in a different direction, making themselves harder to target. Then they attacked. The first ship to strike was Taemin's transport. It dove toward the lead bombardment cruiser at full speed. The cruiser's shields absorbed the weapon's fire easily. But Taemin wasn't trying to damage the ship with weapons. He was trying to get close. He's going to ram us. The tactical officer shouted, "Impossible!" He'd be destroyed. No one is that stupid. But humans were exactly that stupid when they needed to be. Taemin's ship struck the cruiser's shields at full velocity. The shields held. The transport exploded. But the energy feedback from the collision overloaded the shield generators. They flickered and failed. Before Vorath could react, 3 more human ships dove in. Without shields, the bombardment cruiser was vulnerable. The humans targeted specific systems, Engines, weapons, communication arrays. They weren't trying to destroy the ship. They were trying to disable it, and it was working. Shields back online. Vorath demanded. Trying, sir. The generators are overheated. We need time to reset. We don't have time. Return fire. Destroy those ships. The cruiser's massive weapons came online. They were designed for planetary bombardment, not ship-to-ship combat. They were slow to track the fast-moving human vessels. The cruiser managed to destroy 2 human ships, but 5 more took their place. The second bombardment cruiser tried to help. It fired at the human fleet. But the humans didn't run. They flew closer, using the first cruiser as cover, making it impossible to fire without hitting their own ship. On the surface, Daewon watched the battle through long-range scanners. They're fighting like we taught them during the war. Swarm tactics, sacrifice plays, using the enemy's size against them. Hyun watched too. Her face was pale. Those ships that exploded. People died. Yes, and they knew they would. That's what makes it heroic. They chose to die so others could live. How can you say that so calmly? Because I've seen it before. In the war we lost thousands. But we won. Because we were willing to pay the price that our enemies couldn't imagine paying. He pointed at the screen. See, the first cruiser's shields are down. Its engines are damaged. It's out of the fight. In orbit, Bo Young coordinated the attack. All ships focus on Cruiser 2. Same tactics. Ram if you have to. Overwhelm their shields. Then target their systems. The human fleet swarmed. Some ships took damage. Some were destroyed. But they kept coming. Wave after wave. Relentless. Vorath watched in horror as his second cruiser began to take damage. This is impossible. They're primitives. They're using outdated ships. How are they winning? His tactical officer had no answer. The truth was simple but hard to accept. The humans weren't winning because of better ships or weapons. They were winning because they fought with a desperation and creativity that the Syndicate forces couldn't match. Then something unexpected happened. Velkor's voice came over the communication channel. He was broadcasting on all Syndicate frequencies. To all Vrex in the bombardment fleet, this is Velkor, veteran of the Orion border wars. I fought these humans 20 years ago. I watched them destroy armies that should have crushed them. I watched them turn victories into defeats through sheer refusal to surrender. If you continue this fight, you will die. The humans will not stop. They will ram your ships. They will sacrifice themselves. They will fight until the last one is dead or you are destroyed. There is no honor in this fight. Only waste. Withdraw now while you still can. Silence. Then another Vrex voice joined in. An engineer on one of the cruisers. Velkor speaks truth. I too fought in the war. I remember. We lost entire fleets to these humans. Not because they were stronger. Because they were willing to sacrifice everything. More voices joined. Other Vrex veterans who remembered. Who had survived the war and now found themselves facing the same enemy again. Vorath looked at his crew. Many of them were young. Too young to have fought in the war. But they were hearing the fear in the voices of their elders. That fear was spreading. Silence, Vorath roared. We will complete our mission. But it was too late. The third cruiser, seeing what happened to the first 2, began to retreat. Its captain had made a decision. The mission wasn't worth dying for. Vorath's second cruiser was dead in space. Engines gone. Weapons offline. Life support failing. His own ship was damaged and surrounded by human vessels. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly. We've lost. Bo Young's voice came over the communication channel. Syndicate fleet, this is your final warning. Leave now or we will board your ships and take them. Your choice, Vorath's hands clenched. He wanted to fight. To prove that the Syndicate was superior. But looking at his tactical display, he saw the truth. The humans had won. Against impossible odds, they had won.